Your attention again for a minute. I just want to read this letter. Before it gets too late, I talked to the treasurer. We do have two important meetings tomorrow. One is with the Rear Admiral Riaki from IHS. I will have a sit down with him for a half hour from 11 to 11:30, and then 11:30 to 12 with full council, I believe, and then at 1:30, he's going to meet with the employees of IHS and extended an invitation for tribal council to sit in while he sits down with those employees at IHS in Pine Ridge. And all the meetings tomorrow with the Rear Admiral will take place tomorrow at IHS. But we also have a letter that was mailed out on the 4th, but we didn't receive it until the 21st. I'll read this letter real quick because some council is going to need to be present here. Dear President Julian Bellrunner, this letter is an invitation to a multi-tribe government-to-government consultation meeting from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Wednesday, March 27th at the Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument Administrative Office Building. This meeting is in regards to several projects, including our General Management Plan Amendment, exhibit planning for the Visitor Center, 5-year projects for Bighorn Canyon National Recreation Area, Fort Smith, Montana, and Little Bighorn Battlefield. The National Park Service will help defray the cost for up to 2 designated representatives from your tribe to participate in this meeting through a fee for professional services. Tribes are welcome to bring additional representatives at their own expense. Little Bighorn Battlefield staff does not have the authority to issue checks on site. Designated tribal representatives who would like to be reimbursed the day of the meeting must RSVP and return the necessary paperwork. I did had the secretary forward that to all of you. I just need to know who can attend that meeting. And then that way I can get it to the treasurer and they can do your travel tomorrow. Like it states in there, you will be reimbursed, so we'll do the paperwork to get it reimbursed for the tribe. So I have Mr. Councilman Apple and Councilman Little Mike Man, you'll go to that? Okay, question. Meeting tomorrow? Yes. That's why I said we have two important meetings. We have this government to government and then as well as the meeting with Rear Admiral Riaki. I'm not sure, about 6 hours, I guess. Okay. Anybody want to attend this? It's a government-to-government consultation. Councilman Wilson?
I think you should probably respond by making them follow our consultation ordinance.
I can do that.
That's what I would say. Say the Oglala Sioux tribe has, that way they have to come here.
Okay. Well, we could do that. I just didn't know if anybody was willing to do that. But
heck, it's 4:30 already. You'd have.
Oh, this gets me. I fly around, so.
But I think they should have to use our consultation.
I agree. I mean, I'll send that out. I just didn't know if anybody wanted to zip up there for that, but I'll get a letter put out to them right away. Okay, so we'll move on into the interviews and the selection of the OST Ethics Committee. Now, 3 of the 4 had to leave, so we only have 1 that is still here. Councilwoman Whitehorse?
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here or whatever, but there's 4 positions open and there's 4 applicants. And we've been talking about seating an ethics committee for I don't know how many years now. I think I'm going to make a motion to seat 3 of the members. That would be Art Hopkins, Cedric Youngbear, and Raymond Big Crow. And Dwayne Big Crow did volunteer to be the alternate because Raymond also applied. So I guess that will be my motion, and to have the secretary re-advertise for the one regular position and one more alternate.
Okay, I do have a motion and a second by Councilman Apple. He seconded that motion before it was even finished. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk.
No.
Garfield Apple.
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
No.
Sonia Littlehawk Weston.
Ha.
Jackie Sears.
Yeah.
Vincent Tulance.
Yes.
Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse.
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian.
Yeah.
Ryan Jumping Eagle. Bo Little White Man.
Yes.
Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow. Randy Laisbad.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald.
Yes.
Nakina Mills.
Abstain.
Robin Tapio.
No.
$11 yes, 5 no, 1 abstaining, 2 not voting. Motion carried. Also for the record, I excused Mr. Councilman Jumping Eagle at 16:07. And also for the record, Mr. Goodcrow just had to run to pick up his medications and said he'd be right back. Okay, so motion carried. We're moving on into the agenda. The Aberdeen Area Indian Health Service. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
I think there are 4 resolutions before the report.
okay. Sorry about that, Ms. Asher. Councilwoman Tapia.
Mr. Chair, could you repeat that last, what was the outcome of the ethics, the votes, please?
Okay, so the motion was to seat 3 of the 4 members that applied for the Ethics Committee, which was Raymond Bigcrow, Cedric Youngbear, and Art Hopkins. And then also to seat Mr. Dwayne Bigcrow as the alternate, and for the secretary to re-advertise for 1 vacant position on the Ethics Committee and 1 alternate. It was 11 yes, 5 no, 1 abstaining, 2 not voting. Councilwoman Littlehawk Weston.
Yes, Mr. President, I want to yield the floor to Mr. Bicro. He did want to say some words to the council.
Hello, council, and my name is Dwayne Bicro, overall tribal member. It took a long day here, but I stayed here and waited, had confidence in you guys. And I know the ethics board's going to be quite challengeable. I've been reading up on it, and I believe I can do that. And I have confidence in, backing from the council if, I need it. But with the group you guys put in there, I'm pretty sure we can do a great job. And I thank all you guys for voting.
Thank you, Mr. Bicro.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Cross.
Put on my reading glasses again. Resolution of Glass Sioux Tribal Council of Glass Sioux Tribe and unincorporated tribe. Resolution of the Tribal Council of Glass Sioux Tribe directing and authorizing the Economic and Business Development Committee to move forward with pursuing a new governmental office complex and to bring a formal proposal back to the Tribal Council for final approval. Whereas the Glass Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935 in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Glass Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of Glass Sioux Tribe. And whereas Article 4, Sections 1F, 1K, 1M, and 1W of the Tribal Constitution, the Tribal Council has authority to manage the economic affairs of the tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of persons on the Pioneer Indian Reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the tribe and its members. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F of the Constitution of the Glass Sioux Tribe authorizes the Glass Sioux Tribal Council to manage all economic affairs and enterprise of the Glass Sioux Tribe, and Article 4, Section 1W authorizes the Glass Sioux Tribal Council to adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Glass Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas Article 4, Section 1T of the Constitution gives the Tribal Council the power to delegate its enumerated powers to subordinate boards of our officers, reserving the right to review the actions taken by virtue of such delegated power. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee is a standing committee of Glass Sioux Tribal Council, and it has been delegated the power to oversee matters relating to economic and business development opportunities on behalf of Glass Sioux Tribal Council. And whereas the current Glass Sioux Tribal governmental offices are in disrepair and insufficient to meet the current needs of the tribe. And whereas the current Bureau of Indian Affairs and other federal and state government offices on Pioneer Indian Reservation are in disrepair and insufficient to meet current needs. And whereas the OST, the tribal government, and the federal and state government agencies have all expressed an interest in one consolidated office complex to include all government services in order to better service the needs of the people. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee has been tasked with exploring the development of a new government office complex. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee and its members have researched a number of options for development of the government office complex over several years. And whereas the Glass Sioux Tribal Council passed resolution number 15-136 in 2015 to explore a partnership with Haynes Investment for the development of the government office complex. And whereas Haynes Investment was approved by the OST Office of Credit and Finance formal vetting and passed the due diligence process in 2015, which is now being updated. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee and various committee members have met with Mr. Stephen Haynes of Haynes Investments and several of his associates on numerous occasions on and off since 2014. A working group of the EB&D committee previously met on a weekly basis to develop a plan, and Mr. Haynes has met presented to the Food Council on at least 2 occasions in the past. And whereas Mr. Haynes' investment explored the financing, site development, preliminary design options, and presented those preliminary results and proposals to Food Council in November 2015, and will resubmit that information again to the Economic and Business Development Committee and Food Tribal Council. And whereas Haynes Investment would be arranging all financing for the government office complex and covering all upfront costs in order to expedite the development process. And whereas Haynes Investments operates as a complete turnkey developer, which means their package service include full financing, design, site development, build, construction management, and oversight. Whereas Haynes Investment shall comply with all relevant OST regulations, including TARO, and a final design budget financing package is being developed for presentation to the Tribal Council. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee recommends that the Oglala Sioux Tribe formally approves moving forward with this proposed development so that Haynes Investments, under direction and input of the Economic and Business Development Committee, may present a formal presentation to the Tribal Council. Now therefore be resolved, the Oglala Sioux Tribe formally approves moving forward with the proposed development of a new governmental office complex with the preliminary site selection of the existing BIA building, location, and delegates to the Economic and Business Development Committee the authority to pursue and develop a final proposal to bring back to the Tribal Council. And be it further resolved, the complex should include tribal, federal, state government offices, spaces to consolidate services for the people. And be it further resolved, the tribe will make every effort to promptly procure MOUs, LOIs, and contracts with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the United States Postal Service, in order that they might serve as necessary anchor tenants for the government office complex. And be it further resolved, the tribe desires for such proposals to include Haynes Investments as its turnkey developer for the development of the new government office complex. And be it further resolved that a formal proposal including any engagement letters or proposed contracts with Haynes Investments and the other relevant documents shall be brought back to Tribal Council for approval and a certification. Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second by Councilman Torrance. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Ha.
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian,
Yeah.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow, Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nakina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Ha.
Sixteen yes, one no, one not voting. Motion carried. Councilwoman Mills, did you have something when you raised your hand?
I do not want to be the bad guy, but according to the Code of Ethics 16-05, regular members of the Ethics Review Board shall be selected by 2/3 vote of tribal council and shall serve for 1 year. So I know they're working on clarification of the number, so I just wanted that on record.
Right, she did get back to me. She said it was 12.6 with what we have here, and there was 11 yes. Wait, no, can I have that back, please? There was 11 yes, 5 no, 1 abstaining, 2 not voting. Now, I'm not I guess I need some clarification on the not voting. Under Robert's Rules of Order, I know we didn't adopt it, but they told us that the not voting constituted as a yes vote. So that would move it to 13 yes. Right. So. Right, so, I mean, the motion carried, I guess, until if the legal department comes back with something different. She's getting a hold of another attorney, so. Okay. Mr. Cross, did you need help reading some of those?
Davey said my reading guys have a nose on it, so I'm not sending it to you.
Wait, now, hold on, I gotta find my the resolutions.
What's that?
Which one are you reading?
The second one.
Okay, here, I'll get that. The facility one? Right.
Let me show you what. This one.
Okay,
Resolution
direct.
authorizing.
This one right here? This one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only
Okay,
three
go
more
ahead.
after that.
Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and read our next resolution under Economic and Business Development. It's resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and Unincorporated Tribe. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe directing and authorizing the Economic and Business Development Committee to explore a new facility for East Wind Casino, including Class 2 and 3 machines, and to bring the proposal back to the Tribal Council. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 USC subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas under Article 4, Sections 1F, 1K, 1M, and 1W of the Tribal Constitution, the Tribal Council has the authority to manage the economic affairs of the tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the tribe and its members. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F of the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribe authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to manage all economic affairs and enterprises of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And Article 4, Section 1W authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas Article 4, Section 1T of the Constitution gives the Tribal Council the power to delegate its enumerated powers to subordinate boards or officers, reserving the right to review their actions taken by virtue of such delegate power. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee is a standing committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council and has been delegated the power to oversee matters relating to economic and business development opportunities on behalf of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribal Gaming Code outlines regulations for the operations of all gaming enterprises on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And whereas Section 7 of the OST Gaming Code states that the Oglala Sioux Tribe shall have sole propriety interest in and responsibility for the conduct of any gaming operation authorized by this ordinance. And whereas the tribe wholly owns the East Winds Casino near Martin, South Dakota. And whereas the tribe desires to explore whether the economics of building a new East Wind Casino versus renovating the current age structure. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee, in partnership with the Lake Creek District leadership, have identified 2 viable sites for new construction as well as an existing facility. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee and the Lake Creek District leadership have identified a development partner, Haynes Investments, who is willing to function turnkey and identify financing, build a new facility, and update the gaming machines. Now therefore be it resolved, the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe hereby authorizes and directs the Economic and Business Development Committee to finalize exploration of the economics of building a new East Wind Casino facility with a mix of Class 2 and 3, and of the partnership with Haynes Investments, and present a completed proposal to the Tribal Council. And be it further resolved that the Economic and Business Development Committee shall include input from the General Manager of East Wind Casino in the final proposal. And a motion to approve.
We got a motion, second by Councilwoman Whitehorse. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears,
Huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Oha.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow, Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Makina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Yes.
Seventeen yes, one not voting, motion carried. Next resolution, please.
Thank you, Council. The next resolution is Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and Unincorporated Tribe. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe directing and authorizing the Economic and Business Development Committee to develop a financial services code and to bring back to the Tribal Council for review. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas under Article 4, Section 1F, 1K, 1M, and 1W of the Tribal Constitution, the Tribal Council has the authority to manage the economic affairs of the tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the tribe and its members. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F of the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribe authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to manage all economic affairs and enterprises of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, and Article 4, Section 1W authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas Article 4, Section 1T of the Constitution gives the Tribal Council the power to delegate its enumerated powers to subordinate boards or officers, reserving the right to review their actions taken by virtue of such delegated power. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee is a standing committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council and has been delegated the power to oversee matters relating to economic and business development opportunities on behalf of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council. And whereas economic development is a central mission of the tribe, in order to provide funding for governmental services to tribal members, unfortunately, like most tribal governments, the tribe lacks access to familiar governmental revenue streams such as property, income, and sales tax. And whereas the rural and highly isolated nature of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, as well as the lack of access to large population bases, requires a renewed focus on internet-based industries for external income, e-commerce, and whereas in addition to internet-based industries such as tourism, arts and crafts, financial services have become a significant and reliable dozens industry for rural tribal economies. And whereas through e-commerce, the tribe can attract customers from throughout the United States and bring those nationwide dollars from other locations back to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee desires to explore the pros and cons of the online consumer lending industry as a potential industry for the tribe to enter. And whereas when done correctly with respect for the borrower, tribal online consumer lending provides an important and much needed service to millions of Americans in need. And whereas as a nation who has struggled with poverty, we know the importance small dollar loans play in an emergency and the difficulty in accessing capital from traditional banks and lenders. And as such, tribal nations and tribal people are uniquely qualified to provide good customer service and access to credit in the small dollar industry. And whereas the tribe believes it can provide safe, reliable, and customer protective credit products, and whereas the tribe's intent is to be cautious and conservative in establishing their businesses, requiring close management and mandating robust consumer protective practices through our codes and oversight. And whereas there is no federal interest rate cap or federal small dollar lending laws which Congress has directly made applicable to tribes, and therefore tribal law will govern small dollar lending emanating from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And whereas nonetheless, the tribe will ensure that all online small dollar lending activities follow the spirit of federal regulations, as the tribe provides sufficient control and protection for both lenders and borrowers through its own sovereign governmental regulation and oversight. And whereas the tribe recognizes that several states and federal agencies have an interest in this industry. However, the tribe is a sovereign government and will serve as its own regulator for all lenders operating from its sovereign lands. And whereas the tribe has determined that it is in the best interest of the economic development of the Guala Sioux tribe to expand into the financial services industry as an essential governmental revenue creating function. Now therefore be it resolved, the Tribal Council of the Guala Sioux tribe directs the Economic and Business Development Committee to review current ordinances and draft as needed any proposed revisions or new ordinances as may be necessary for online small dollar lending, including a financial services code, and bring such proposed revisions and proposed draft ordinances back to the Tribal Council for review. And be it further resolved, in addition to all the necessary aspects of a successful consumer lending code, the proposed financial services code shall create tribal governmental regulatory authority to oversee financial services and consumer protection, and a licensing procedure for all small dollar lending companies and contractors. And be it further resolved, the proposed financial services code shall prohibit any payday loans and instead require any loans be fully amortized, and further require that any lender require borrowers must be employed and have a bank account. And be it further resolved, the proposed financial services code shall not allow any online small dollar lending company licensed by the tribe to lend on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation or within the state of South Dakota. With that, I motion to approve. Seconding it.
I got a motion and a second. Councilwoman Medina?
I have a question, but I'm going to ask Courtney for a little bit of background regarding this.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have part 5, it's our business laws, but when I was looking at the online lending, we can amend that part 5 because it is our business laws. We do have a tribal consumer protection code, which is part 8 of the UCC. I would just recommend, whatever ideas or whatever, bring it to me, and David Franco is still working with me if we have to amend anything with our UCC instead of developing a whole new code separate. So we could just amend that part of it, or those two parts of it, if that's what you're thinking. And then the licensing procedure, I'm sure he could come up with something. It'll be separate. So that's all. Just you have a UCC that can be amended. Okay. Huh?
We're well recognized.
Oh yeah, our UCC is the model for Indian countries. So.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston?
I'm going to go ahead and yield the floor to Mr. Raines. I think he could answer that too.
Good evening, good afternoon, Council. Regarding lending, so I've been in economic development specific to Indian country for 15 years. It's my 15th year, and 8 years with online installment tribal lending. And one of the main best practices that all tribal lenders do is they don't lend not only in their home reservation, but they don't lend in their home state to avoid all kinds of complications, as you can imagine. And I can answer other questions as well.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes. Yes. My phone.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh?
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Uh-huh.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow, Brandy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nakina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Yes.
Seventeen yes, one not voting, motion carried. Next resolution, please.
Thank you, Council. The next resolution is resolution of Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and Unincorporated Tribe. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe directing and authorizing the Economic and Business Development Committee to explore a proposal to develop a hemp production facility and to bring back to the Tribal Council for final approval. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is a governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas under Article 4, Sections 1F, 1K, 1M, and 1W of the Tribal Constitution, the Tribal Council has the authority to manage the economic affairs of the tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the tribe and its members. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F of the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribe authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to manage all economic affairs and enterprises of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And Article 4, Section 1W authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas Article 4, Section 1T of the Constitution gives the Tribal Council the power to delegate its enumerated powers to subordinate boards or officers, reserving the right to review their actions taken by virtue of such delegated power. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee is a standing committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council and has been delegated the power to oversee matters relating to economic and business development opportunities on behalf of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council. And whereas the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, the 2018 Farm Bill, Public Law 115-334, was enacted by the United States and signed into law on December 20th, 2018, and included provisions providing for the state and tribal regulations of hemp production. And whereas more than 2 decades ago, the Oglala Sioux adopted tribal laws regarding the production of hemp on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and now desires to move forward with the full exercise of its sovereignty and to open up economic development opportunities for the tribe in the Oyate. And whereas hemp has dozens of commercial and industrial uses such as medicinal, CBD, rope, textiles, clothing, shoes, food, paper, bioplastics, insulation, building material, and biofuel. And whereas the Tribal Council's primary role is to build a strong regulatory infrastructure and an economic framework to encourage and support hemp production and processing. And whereas the Tribal Council is already working with its attorneys to update the codes and regulations to comply with the 2018 Farm Bill and properly regulate tribal hemp. And whereas the Intertribal Agricultural Council, IAC, and industry experts have expressed the urgency of vertical integration within the tribal hemp industry so that tribal members and tribal nations are not simply growing hemp and exporting it to others for manufacturing, but are also benefiting from the value added in manufacturing and processing. And whereas the private markets will evolve over time as consumer demands and product supply changes, But at this time, the production of hemp-based CBD products appear to add the most economic value of the various hemp-based products currently in the market. And whereas despite federal legalization, because the market is still evolving, traditional financing is still a difficult prospect for processing and manufacturing facilities in this nascent industry. And whereas industry experts anticipate a 2 to 3 year window for the most activity and gains in hemp production and processing, thus time is of the essence. And whereas processing and distributing hemp-based CBD products are not without economic risk, as the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is still developing its policies regarding hemp-based CBD products. And whereas in order to gain the most value for our hemp crops, the Tribal Council desires to task the EBD Committee with identifying the highest value manufacturing process and products at this time, and creating an on or near reservation manufacturing partnership. Now therefore be it resolved that the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe hereby authorizes and directs the Economic and Business Development Committee with pursuing the development on or near reservation manufacturing partnership, with the future intent that any such development will eventually be placed under an economic enterprise of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And be it further resolved, the council defers to the Economic and Business Development Committee to complete their task analyzing the market for the best hemp-based manufacturing, selecting and finalizing a processing partnership, and completion of a processing facility. And be it further resolved, any such partnership and or development proposal shall be brought back to the Tribal Council for final approval. With that, I motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston, second by Councilwoman Whitehorse. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons. Yes. Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears,
Here.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Here.
Oh Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow, Randy Laisbach,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nakina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Yes.
Fifteen yes, 2 no, 1 not voting. Motion carried.
Thank you, Council. Our next resolution is resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and Unincorporated Tribe. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the general manager of the Prairie Wind Casino to purchase 16 new Aristocrat Class 3 slot machines. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe has adopted its constitution and bylaws on December 10, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 476. And under Article 3 and 1 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe's Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is a governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe's Constitution by Article 4, Section 1F gives the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council the authority to manage all economic affairs of the tribe. And whereas the Prairie Wind Casino leadership team permanently closed the deli because of zero profits and decided to replace the deli with a Starbucks style of coffee shop with additional Class 3 slot machines. And whereas the Prairie Wind Casino leadership team approved the purchase of 16 new Class 3 slot machines from Aristocrat to occupy the square footage in the Old Deli area and increase casino revenue. Whereas the Prairie Wind Casino data program showed that beginning on January 1, 2019 through March 24, 2019, the existing Aristocrat slot machines generated net revenue of $150 per gaming day, meaning 16 new Aristocrat slot machines will generate an estimated $2,400 per day in net revenue to cover the monthly payment for 18 months. And whereas the Prairie Wind Casino will purchase 16 new Class 3 slot machines from Aristocrat for $356,525 at $19,806 per month for 18 months. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gualasu Tribal Council hereby approves the purchase of 16 new Aristocrat Class 3 slot machines exceeding the $75,000 procurement authority for the Prairie Wind Casino, and these machines will occupy the Old Alley area and to enhance casino revenue. And with that, I motion to approve.
Got a motion, second by Councilwoman Tapio. Councilman Wilson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just got a quick question. I know at one time in committee, we talked about the difference of leasing the machine or purchasing the machine. And purchasing the machine, we have to pay for the parts and stuff, whereas if you're leasing it, all that repairs comes with it, maintenance and repairs comes with it. I was just wondering if that was ever done to see the different analysis, I guess.
You know, I know last administration, we had some discussion on this with the general manager on weighing both of those out. And I know, I don't think it passed that time because we did bring it to the council floor. And so, but, I don't think we raised that question with him this last time when he presented this resolution to committee. So it's a question that I think he can answer. And so, if you wanna hold off on this, or you wanna it's already a motion second, but.
Okay, I got a motion to table. I get Councilwoman Merdanian? Okay, so I got a motion to table by Councilman Wilson, second by Councilwoman Merdanian. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk?
Yes.
Repeat, please.
Yes.
Garfield Apple?
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons? Lydia Bearkiller?
Yes.
James Cross?
No.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston? Jackie Sears? Vincent Tulance?
Yes.
Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse?
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian?
Uh-huh.
Bo Little White Man?
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson?
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow? Randy Laysbad?
Yes.
Richard Greenwald?
Yes.
Nakina Mills?
Yes.
Robin Tapio?
Yes.
$15 yes, 1 no, 2 not voting, motion carried. That concludes it for the evening.
No, I think one more, Mr. President, I think, could Mr. Cross give maybe an update on the Bowie store? Because we have our district members asking what's going on with the Bowie store.
Councilman Cross.
Okay, Bree did come to the committee meeting last Friday in Rapid, and he gave us a brief update, but everything's moving along. He did give us a handout, but it was kind of just a floor plan he wanted approval of just for us to look at the exterior, and look at the exterior and just kind of get approval. And so we gave him the nod, you know, but that's all we wanted, but he did. What they're really pushing for is for April 9th. And they're really pushing hard on that. And so they've been putting in 7 days a week, you know, going long hours to try to get the inside, the floor done and try to get it stocked. And so that's their goal, is to get it by April 9th, night before EBT. So So we got our fingers crossed and hopefully that happens, but that's their goal anyway, so just to let the people know, you know, that's what their intentions are.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cross. I guess I'm hoping that the people out there are listening, and I guess I should answer a lot of their questions is when is the store going to open? So we're looking at April 9th.
April 9th,
As
correct.
our opening date. I know the auto parts store is open, and so just want to let the people out there just know that it's April 9th. Before we close our EB&D agenda items, I do have one more. Mr. Chair, you want to go through James? Mary? Okay. Go ahead, James.
Okay, these ladies want to address tribal council, so I will report to them.
Thank you. I'm the statistician demographer for the Oglala tribe. I came through ENBD and we applied for a grant for $20,000. You all approved it. I didn't get a chance to come back through the committee since then. So we're building your data management system that we talked about at the very beginning of your administration. So it includes the staff, it includes the structure, it includes the how it's going to be funded. So we're building that for the tribal council, for Mr. President. And so to save the date, April 23rd and 24th, we're going to have it at Little Wound School. And we have an agenda, so I'll make sure that I email it out to everybody. But I really would like you to be involved and participate. So as we build this, we'll get your input, and it's really going to benefit you and your decision making in the future. So just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes it for the 2/3 EB&D committee. Correct. At this time, I'll turn the microphone over to our legal department.
I haven't gotten clarification, truly, really, but on your 2/3 vote on the ethics commissioners, or right? If we count everybody in the room, whether you voted yes, no, abstained, your vote failed because you have to have 13, and you only got 11, and you have to have 12.6. which you go up to the highest number of 13. So your vote failed.
Right.
Sorry, Richard.
What was the purpose of that, then?
So I guess that motion failed according to the legal department. So tribal council, what do we want to do with the ethics committee?
Could we bring it back at the next council meeting when the full council is here? I think Philip was supposed to come back. I don't know what the council wants to do, if we just bring back the same ones.
Right, I passed according to Robert's Rules of Order, but I guess she said, Mr. Gunn said that we didn't adopt it, so, or.
Jennifer noted that we did, that we need to adopt parts of, or, because we have no resolutions or.
Can you use your mic, please?
I conferred with Jennifer, and she said we don't have anything in place where we, we use Robert's Rules of Order. And so, at where it stands, there's 19 of you, so you have to do 2/3. And if you want to adopt parts of Robert's Rules, then that would be something to work on.
Okay, so, Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston, was he gonna make a motion, or?
I'll make a motion to just bring it back at the next council meeting, I guess, with this.
Councilwoman Mills?
The motion failed, it was already ran. I just have a question in regards to if we do bring it back at the end of the month, are we still gonna, allow for other applicants to apply or submit letters of intent?
Councilwoman Merdanian.
If the motion maker could entertain that it gets sent to Law and Order so we can decide on opening it up and then bringing back that to restructure it and bring it back at the next council meeting.
Councilman.
I didn't hear the full discussion on what happened to the ethics committee, but I was at the clinic, and then as soon as I was done, got my medicines, and I moved it back over here. So, but I would like to see the ethics committee put in place and move forward with what they have to do with their job duties. So I would like to put in my vote into the.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Goodcrow. We can't just change your vote. It's already been ran. We did put you down as not voting just because you just took a short break there. Councilman Gibbons?
Chair, the motion I understand is to take it back to Law and Order and bring it back, correct?
Negative. That's, Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston, you're the motion maker, so, can you use your mic, please?
I made the original motion, but according to the legal office, it failed. So the next motion, I guess, is whatever you're doing now.
So I do still have the floor, Chair. I motion that we take it back to Law and Order and bring it back again.
Correct, well, I do have a motion standing.
My motion, Mr. Chair, I think, was to bring it back at the next tribal council meeting, but with the same names. And I think we asked for the alternate to be advertised and the other one more on the seat for the ethics committee to be advertised. That would be my motion.
Okay, so your
That
motion
we
is
still move that
to
direction.
stay
Yes.
the same as selecting,
The three?
those three, as the ethics committee, Mr. Bickrow,
Mr. Hopkins,
Mr. Raymond Bickrow, Mr. Hopkins, and Mr. Youngbear as the seating, and then Dwayne Bickrow as the alternate, and then advertising. So with it, by the next council meeting, you want the secretary to advertise for one alternate and one candidate, correct?
yes,
And then we'll bring it back at the next council meeting.
yes. And
Regular
that'll be my
session.
motion.
Okay, so I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman, Apple. Mr. Yellowhawk?
About 6 or 7 years for this committee. What next 30 days? What does that matter? You know, I would just take it by law and put it in the committee and let's do it right. And bring it back the next council meeting. But you got the motion, go ahead.
Thank you. Councilman Bickrow.
I'd like to yield the floor to one of our district members, Mr. Ed Ironclaw.
Well, good afternoon, council and the Keeley listeners. My name is Ed Ironclaw. I want to thank my Councilman Goodcrow for allowing me this time here as a tribal member, to share my views on this. I think it's really important that, for one, I'm going to encourage my councilmen, Philip and Randy here, to bring this particular issue back to Porcupine District so we can talk about these candidates and talk about this policy here. We always saying we're taking it back to the districts, but I want to encourage you guys to bring this back to the Porcupine District so we could talk about it. there's a lot of issues that come by this council that we never even heard about. And I would just, my suggestion would be to be fair to people. I mean, there's one position that's, people are gonna open, that's open. I think it would be fair to, have people put in for it, if they feel their intent to put in their letters, and you other councilmen, councilwomen, you can ask your council, your district, if that's what they want to do. But I think it would be really good just to leave it open and continue to let tribal members, if they wish to, put in for this position here. And if not, then we didn't lose anything. But I just wanted to say that much, I want to thank you guys for listening to me, and I walked down the district here. This is a very beautiful building here, and really commend them for their work here and their hard work, and also commend you all for your work there too. So I want to say thank you very much, but I just wanted to say that much. Wopila.
Wopila. Councilwoman Sears.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to table and send it back to law and order.
Second.
I got a motion to table, second by Councilwoman Merdanian. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian, Ryan Jumping Eagle, I'm sorry, excused, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh,
Randy Laisbad,
yes.
Richard Greenwald,
No.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
$17 yes, 1 no. Motion to table passed. Councilman Greenwald?
I have a question of Tina Merdanian. In your statement, you said send back to law and order and restructure. Does that mean you're going to change the whole game plan and the rules in the middle of the game, or what do you mean by restructure it?
Just to send it back to law and order.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston?
I just want to say that at the beginning of this term, I think some of you no votes were always asking for ethics committee to be seated. And I've been hearing that for quite a bit, even last administration, nothing had been done. So we asked the tribal secretary to get this out, so she did advertise it, get it out, and we got the names put in front of us. But it seems like every time that happens, we always want to throw a monkey wrench in it and make sure that we take it back to a committee. I don't want it going back to law and order to restructure the whole thing. I think we, out of respect for those ones that applied, and no offense to Porcupine District, but if they had a concern about it and they wanted to be a part of it, they should have applied for it. Somebody in that district should have applied. Maybe Mr. Ironclad should have applied. Ed, you should have applied. Some of you guys do that. You come in front of us and you get mad about not taking it back to the people. But you should have applied for it when it was open. But as soon as it comes here to tribal council, this is what happens. So as a vice chair of law and order committee, it comes back to the committee. I don't think we should reinvent the whole thing, restructuring the whole thing. Coming back with more names, These guys applied and they came today. Except for Mr. Youngbear, the rest of them came and they sat here all morning. But then we go and we do that. So I'm just going to say that. So they left them here thinking that they're on this committee now. But not today. I'm hoping they're hearing that they're not on the committee yet. That's what we do to our own people, but we say we take it back to the Oyate. but then we turn around and we do this to our own oyate. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston. I mean, Tribal Council, I do agree with that. I mean, I see the same thing happening here that happened with our sergeant at arms. So I think now that it's back, that it's tabled and going back to committee, that you work hard on ensuring that we don't have a repeat. I mean, it's unfortunate, you know, like we said, we've been waiting for this and we made it this far. But however, we'll be moving on to the regular order of business. Aberdeen Area Indian Health Service Pioneer Service Unit.
Nope, I'm good, thanks. Appreciate it. I've been sitting for too long. Good afternoon. I think you all have a copy of our monthly summary for February. Also, I submitted a copy of the last week's report and a copy of the hours for the outpatient pharmacies right now that we have available. So on the February 28th report, I'm just going to hit the highlights since you all can read it. We have spent 42% of our annual budget. We have an annual budget of $82.6 million. We've spent 35.1 of it. We have spent 4.4 million of our funding for PRC, with our average weekly spending of $350,000. We are getting those people through our PRC, and we are paying for quite a bit of them. So in, excuse me, my throat. Third-party collections, we're at 34%. We estimated a 31.6 million collection, and we've had a 10.8 million so far. We saw outpatient visits were a total of 15,364 last month. ED saw a little over 2,000 patients with a median time of 8 minutes from check-in to triage. We were looking at a March 15th meeting to discuss EMS issues. I know that Dolores sent out an email to say that we were going to reschedule that. I hope we can get that rescheduled because we're still having some concerns. And also in this report, you have a catching up on the backlog. We are 78.2 days behind on the backlog on coding. But that's the reason I also submitted the last week's report, because on last week's report, we have caught up to 59 days, 59.2 days on backlog. That's a decrease of 14.9 days since the last report that we had on March 8th. So our coding department is doing a fantastic job, and this is the first time in quite some time it's been below 60 days on the backlog. We had training for staff on complaint versus grievances and how to take care of those regarding CMS requirements. 44 staff members attended that training. We also had some HIT technology modernization team here from HHS last week. They're looking at our EHR to see what they can do to improve it. We have been doing some interviews, and we interviewed and made an offer for a pediatrician. We've offered telehealth psychiatric nurse practitioners, selected new dental assistants, also some new lab technicians, social workers for social services departments, and later this month we're supposed to have a site visit for an optometrist, so hopefully we can get him in here just as soon as possible. It was just dependent on that site visit. We also have a site visit pending for a new lab supervisor. Regarding the JCR visit that was completed the 1st of March, we have run those numbers to see how the report was, and we have a total of 193 deficiencies that we're working on. A lot of those have already been fixed, but we're still continuing to push. We found that not only did we fixed some of the deficiencies from the previous ones, but then we fell out on the other ones. So it's going to be they've got to understand that we've got to keep it all together. We now have an acting infection control nurse. We have a PI coordinator who is pending a start date, and we have a new compliance officer that started on the 18th, and she was going through orientation, and she's getting her feet under her now. We're working on a purging project for medical records. This had not been completed for about 6 years. We hope to be archiving a lot of those old records. We have lab renovation projects in progress, hospital rewire projects are in progress, eye wash projects, and also a nurse call project is updating our nurse call system. On Monday, Kyle Health Center was to have their final inspection and walkthrough for their additional project. We're hoping to have some good news on when that can open. They also have a new hire of a psych nurse practitioner for the telebehavioral health, and also have a part-time ortho family practice physician that is accepted. In Wombly, we have a new physician starting on the 14th. We also have the Gunderson Health Partners to be at Wombly this week. They're specializing in women's health and physical therapists. And also, we have a candidate that has applied for one of our 2 vacant RN positions in Wombly as well. I submitted you the copy of the outpatient pharmacy hours because I knew there had been a request for us to extend our hours. We wanted to let you know exactly what our hours were to see what we needed to give in addition to these hours. Monday through Friday at Pine Ridge from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Pharmacy's open, as well as noon to 5 on Sunday. Kyle, they're open from 8 to 6, and Wombly as well. And La Creek is open from 9 to 5. So also, I wanted to let you know that I was told by area office the EMS review for a contract has been postponed, and they will reach back out again to see what we need to do to reschedule that.
Thank you. I know the request for the pharmacy that I made was kind of an urgent thing for Saturday and Sunday, and I thank you for opening the pharmacy up because we wanted, with the flooding and the lack of mobility of the people to get to their to pick up their medications, their refills. That was the reasoning for the request to open the pharmacy later or on the weekends. I also do have one question. It says that hiring new staff is a challenge with current human resource processes. Well, which of those processes are hindering?
Actually, it is getting everything we need to the area office and then get all the paperwork that we have to have, because it seems to be an encumbered process that we have to fight through every time. And then to get any offers that we make or anything, if it's a pharmacist or anybody, a laboratory or anybody that we're given a relocation bonus or a sign-on bonus just to get them here, it seems to be, I actually had to submit one at least 5 times. So, I mean, that's something that we're trying to work with through area office. We're also working with the new HR person. She's been up there a few months. She's trying to smooth the process, so hopefully we'll get to the bottom of that soon.
Okay, I'll also be addressing that with at Rear Admiral Weoki tomorrow.
Good.
Any questions, Councilman Greenwald?
It's come to my attention that the mobile clinic has been shut down, and that plays a vital role in our correctional facility. Why is that being closed down? What's your plan to address that? Because the first thing that's going to happen is your staff is going to start complaining about prisoners and jumpsuits in your facility.
It was actually closed down for repairs at that time. So I'm not sure if everything's been done yet. My understanding was that mobile clinic was up and ready to go, but I will follow up on that.
Okay, and then second thing I got is a few years back there was a tragedy that happened on the northwest compound. A 4-year-old boy lost his life. A security guard had run him over, and I don't know if it was your guys' office or security that put signs up at each of your entrances into your housing complexes, and in them signs was a picture of Jonathan Ray Jones, the 4-year-old that lost his life, and it talked about paying attention to children at play and stuff like that. Those signs have faded, so you can't even see anything on them now. So I'd like to see IHS and IHS Security look at that, see where you ordered them signs and have them replaced for your compounds. Because you have a lot of children that are living up there, and there's cars. They go by my house in the morning 40, 50 miles an hour heading to work because they're running late. But I know they're going into your housing compound before they get there. And there's got to be signs up there for these children because we can't have another child lose their life, you know. So I want to see you come back with something else maybe next month on how we can address those signs and replace them. And then the third thing I had was on EMS. You know, EMS with this blizzard and the storm that happened opened our eyes to a lot of deficiencies that we had out there. And our president could vouch for that and probably has some ideas about things that need to change, including the funding. So when the Admiral's here, I'd like to see him sit down with us and yourselves and come up with a realistic budget for our EMS. Not only that, for probably training that we saw that might have been inadequate, physical fitness equipment and training so they could keep themselves in shape and ready for when we do have something like this. But I'd like us to sit down and give a real look at our EMS program. Otherwise, I'm inclined to give it back, you know. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at those signs and also see what we can do about the EMS.
Councilman Little Whiteman.
Good afternoon, almost evening. What do you look over employees of all the clinics?
I'm in that chain of command, but I do know that the deputy CEO and we have certain people that are reporting to Pine Ridge in that chain of command.
Okay, well, I got a complaint from a patient in Kyle, and she was treated real rude by the lab tech. Yeah. So, yeah, I was wondering, well, can you look into that and can you straighten that out or something, you know, because
definitely
people, you know, they have a hard enough time, you know, going to the clinic and whatever, you know, it's tough. And then to have them being treated rude and then to watch that same lab tech who treated them rude hollering around at other employees and stuff.
Definitely check into that, see what we can do.
Okay. Oh, and my last one, my second one, is does Pine Ridge IHS still owe Kyle IHS for any money that they borrowed from the facility?
That was not a borrow. We are one facility. We are one service unit. So I don't know where that came before me, but I know that came down from area for them to utilize that money because of Kyle had the excess money. So I don't know, I don't know the agreement that was put in place, but I know that it was moved to utilize the other issue, or take care of other issues. But also that we cover all of Kyle's PRC as well. So it could be utilized that way to cover their PRC. But like I said, I can look into that to find out if there's any money that we're still having any questions on. But like I said, we are one service unit. So if Kyle needs money, we move it if we've got it. If Wamley needs money, we move it if we've got it. So we make sure that we take care of the patients. But I'll follow up.
Right on. Okay. Thank you.
Will you forward me that information you have on the complaint?
Yeah, I'll
Thank
get
you.
it.
Any further questions, comments? Councilwoman Merdanian.
Just a quick question. I know this has been ongoing, but in your update on the CDR, it says several items in the report were repeated and were not actual deficiencies. So what were those repeat items and why are they continuously to be repeat items?
Many of the repeat items were infection control issues that were repeated in different areas, and we saw them brought up multiple times within the Joint Commission Resources report. So once we take care of that with infection control, it takes care of all those deficiencies. So that's why we couldn't count them as each as an individual deficiency because it all came back to the same thing. So that's what they were. So we now have an infection control nurse in place. We're sending to all of her trainings to get her certified and do everything that she needs to do to do her job and give her those tools so that hopefully we won't have these in the future.
So that was the primary deficiency?
Yeah, that was usually, because overall it was high-level disinfection and infection control. So that was in multiple areas. It either happened in dental or it happened in the OR. It happened out in Kyle in dental. That was the issue. That same issue happened in different places. So we're having to take care of that.
Hechagla. Oh, Councilman Cross.
I was reading my emails, it kind of almost made me put my reading glasses back on again, but kind of surprising that our President Trump is kind of weighing in on this issue. It says White House announcing the presidential task force on protecting Native American children in the Indian House Service system. But I think this has to do with Dr. Weber, and so I think that's a good thing. Yeah, and I applaud him for that. I know, it's the first time we ever did that in Indian country, but I think that's a good thing.
It is.
Councilwoman Tapio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about mental health, the budget and that. Where is that under here, the funding sources and that? How many patients, and do you have that data? Is that included in here?
It's all in there as outpatient. So it's on the back but on the funding is all in together. It's all lumped into one. It's not broke out into each different individual one. But
well, I want to request that we get it broken down so we can look at those mental health statistics and the funding and things like that for purposes for the task force that you're on with us. And I think that we need that data.
we do have a report that we submit to Dolores every month that has the suicidal ideations and everything that do with behavioral health and how many patients we're seeing, but we'll get that as well.
The budget, I'm talking about the budget too, yeah. Okay.
We can break it out. We can see what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Whitehorse, and then Councilwoman Berg-Killer.
I guess whenever there's a transport for mental health, who does the transport?
As either security or EMS or housekeeping.
Shouldn't there be a nurse or something with them? I mean, it is a medical, even though it's mental health. Shouldn't there be a medical person going with them?
They are trained. They're trained specifically in mental health and they have BLS, and I believe they now have been trained in first aid as well.
So it's okay to send a housekeeper with a mental health patient who has been trying to commit suicide?
They're trained. They're trained. We have to make sure that they're trained and they have to understand how to do those holds and everything else. Usually they're the driver and then the chaperone goes with them, and the chaperone has been trained as well, and so has the security guards.
Okay, to me that just seems super risky, but I guess if it's normal. I mean, is there a standard somewhere? Is there some place that says that's legal and okay?
We are looking further into that because we've had some long discussions with CMS regarding how we transport patients, and we're trying to make sure that we do that appropriately. And then also if we have to give training or anything to the EMS staff, because the ones that have to go with EMS are usually the ones that have made an attempt. Now, the ideations are different, but they have been trained to talk to the patients and to understand and to recognize those behaviors. So that's why why we send a chaperone to hopefully prevent anything.
You still have the floor. Was that it that you had? Okay. Councilwoman Berg-Killer.
Okay, I know I had some concerns from our members, but I will bring them up to you because I'm going to attend that meeting with you guys tomorrow. And but on the other side of it, there's a lot of people that have seen improvement and are like, instead of they're really having more positive results in services from IHS. But my concern is the licensing and the certification. And then the other thing too is, this issue with the Trump that sent the message, I kind of feel weary about it because he does stuff like this, and then he's going to turn around and try to privatize stuff. And that's what he's doing out there in Indian country. So I think we need to, I think we really do need to make a big issue out of this incident, and also the drugs that went out of the staff at IHS. I think those should be major issues that Indian country should expose and holler about. Those are going on, and I guess tomorrow we'll sit down with the Admiral and we will bring those up.
The more support we can get, the better. And I'm glad to hear that you are hearing that we've had improvements.
I have Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston, and Councilwoman Tapia, then Councilman Greenwald.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I guess my question was, during the storm, we were getting a lot of calls from some of the patients that are on oxygen. So I did get through to the ER and was able to talk to a provider about one of our elderly that was on oxygen. And I think I just want to make it easy for our patients that are on oxygen and not make it really hard that they can't get their oxygen tank either refilled or another one. So what ways does the IHS hospital have in place to help our patients like that? Because I had a couple of them that during the storm were really worried, and one of the providers did tell me in the ER that well, she could do two things. She can come up here and we can, I don't know if they do that, but to refill her tank. And second one was to go to the ambulance service of the tribe, and I think they carried some portable ones. So I want to make sure that, is that your process up there?
Yes, they did fill a tank, I do believe, and that was fine. Yes, whatever we needed to do to get the oxygen to those patients.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Tapia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I can wait till tomorrow too, but in regards to what Councilman Whitehorse talked about, in this mental health area, it's really a gray area, and I think as tribal leaders now, we need to sit down and we need to come up with a comprehensive plan for our people that have the suicide, because I've been getting calls where people are getting left in Sioux Falls with no way home after a suicide and then attempt, and then I'm getting calls from people in Regional West saying it's time for me to leave now, I don't have transportation, and there's nothing left, so it's really time that we take a good hard look at this and try to find a continuity of services. And I would really like to this council to consider that mental health wellness building that we would like to work on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Tapia. Councilman Greenwald.
Yeah, going back to our earlier discussion, I know you got some MSAs and some other people that are on that, and your protocols for transporting some of our psychiatric patients. I served 25 years in law enforcement, and I had to fight with people and different things like that, but towards the end of my career, I had a call down to Calico, and as big as I am, an individual that was trying to hurt himself was being held down by his father and his brother, and myself and a female officer going, and he picks me up like a rag doll all the way up by the ceiling and then slams me down on the bed as big as I am. And I could only imagine even you, your size, you ain't no way you're going to stop somebody like that if they get themselves free or they want to harm you. So it really concerns me that the transports, you really need to be careful of that. I hate to see one of our tribal members hurt or killed because somebody they can't handle, especially when their original job is to be a secretary in the back, and then you're making them go on a transport with a psychiatric patient. So that I have a lot of concern about that, and we hear them calls there as well. And then touching on what Robin said, those two buildings, what is our status? I know we've been waiting to see what the status is of the two buildings in the back, because we have a tribal program that can really start doing things right now, but they're on hold because I have nowhere to go right now.
The last thing I heard was I reached out to Lisa Schrader, and she has not returned anything to me about what they need to do or how we need to go about that or what the plan is. The area director had requested just a plan, how do we want to do this, and I've not received anything back from Lisa.
Can our chief of staff follow up on that? Ms. Bell?
Thank you, Councilman Greenwald. I feel the same way, especially with, our accreditation and stuff, that we really need to walk that line and ensure that we retain that, or get that back. And, I had the same question about, why isn't that the ambulance service, they have those vans, they have those vehicles, why aren't they handling those transports? Because I know, a few years ago that was their priority, they would take the patients, wait for the patient to see whether they were getting admitted or not, and then if they weren't, bring them home. If not, let them be. So that's definitely something to look at. At this time, Councilman Yellowhawk has something.
Yes, I just want to make comments on that. When the blizzard hit, I think on Thursday, the clinic closed down and remained closed all that time until the following Monday. Is that a standard practice? Or the next one is, we have to get one of our renters clear the way for ambulance service from the station there. The station is right next to the clinic. And the other one is that community folks indicated that the IHS has a snowblowers and a little scoop over there, but there was no help from them at all. So I just want to express our concerns in Wombly. I'm Dwayne Yellowhawk, Eagle Nest representative. So I just want to bring that out. Maybe you can comment on that. Thank you.
In response to the question about it's not a normal practice for us to shut down the clinic, we did not want to shut down the clinic, but when we saw how bad it was down in Wombly, we could not get anybody out to there. We couldn't get anybody to clean out the area. The roads were so bad and they were closed. So that was the reason we had to keep it closed. Now, we tried, because we had tried to send staff out even on, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, to see if we could get to Wombly to get out there and help them clear, and we couldn't even get staff out there.
Okay, that was it. Any further questions? Councilman Goodcrow.
Excuse me. Thank you for your report. But I just went to a clinic and come back. But when I arrived at the clinic earlier, I seen Teresa Tubos, and I was tell her about a situation with one of our district members in Porcupine, who's an individual who is at home, and she can't get around very much, and usually the CHRs pick up her medicine in Pine Ridge, her meds and whatever. But from what I understand, she was telling me that the Pine Ridge, one of the I don't know if it's a nurse or whatever the case may be, whoever she is, she told our district member that shouldn't be doing that anymore. You need to come in, but she can't come in because of her, she can't just move around like, doesn't have any mobility. She has some, but it's very difficult. But she feels that was unjust for Pine Ridge Hospital to tell her that CHRs can't pick up her medications anymore. And so I didn't want to bring any names, but I could tell you after this session is over. Thank you.
Yeah, just let me know who that is so that she needs some re-education, because we need to get those medications to the patients. There shouldn't be any roadblocks there.
Councilman Gibbons. Motion to approve. Got a motion to approve, second by Councilwoman Tapio. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
No.
Valentina Merdanian,
Uh-huh.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
No.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh,
Randy Laisbad,
yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio,
Huh.
Sixteen yes, 2 no, motion carried. Thank you for that, Ms. Asher. Next, we have Bureau of Indian Affairs, Pine Ridge Agency.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've got three things that I want to make you folks aware of, and you're probably already aware of most of them. I've talked to you individually. General assistance, we still have not received any money for our FY19 drawdowns. I know that's a huge discussion item for a lot of folks. I will keep you updated as much as possible, so we're still waiting for the drawdown to come. On a more positive note, any questions on GA? I keep asking every day. I send emails to our regional and BC folks, but all I keep saying, getting back, is that there hasn't been a discussion on when we're going to get the money, only that we are going to get the money. So nobody's committed to giving us a time frame when we're going to get the money.
Use your microphone, please, Councilwoman.
You know, some of our people didn't even get back on after they opened the government back up. They didn't get their reimbursements. So are they going to get those? And how soon?
Well, right now we don't know when the money's coming. Those folks who were current prior to the government shutdown just needed to come in and update their folders. If you remember, in end of 17, we closed the accounts when we ran out of money because we ran into a situation where folks were getting multiple general assistance checks because their accounts were left open. So we were seeing large general assistance checks, so we closed them. We're not going to do that this time. I think the direction we were given by the supervisory social workers is to go ahead and leave them open. So we're going to go back to January. We have some individual payments for January that we haven't paid out, that once the money comes in, we are going to go back and pay those January, and then February, and then March. So we will go back through all of the payments once our money's loaded, so as quick as we can. Anything else on that, general assistance?
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Are you going to go down through your report on, I was just looking at your positions.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Closed and re-advertised. Could you report on those?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. The other one to let you guys know about, and we've had multiple discussions on it, is our recontracting request. I guess it's happy to know that as of today, the tribe has requested drawdown of $1.1 million in FY19 CR funds. So CRs 1 through 3 for those programs have all been requested, and they probably should show up in the tribe's accounts tomorrow. So a lot of the programs will get their funds. The only ones that still have not submitted recontracting requests are aid to tribal government, legislative liaison, which I'm told is going to require a new contract number, domestic violence. OGS side, we don't directly deal with. That's done with the District 1 office out of Aberdeen, so they're working on that. And the release, the last two we're waiting to get money back so the tribe can draw down on is ICWA and job training and placement. President Barry Enner signed recently the Parks and Rec mod and the OLC audit, our adult education program. So the majority of the CR funds have gone through. We just got a couple of programs yet that we have not received recontracting requests for, and those are the ones that we noted for you folks. Any questions?
The aid to tribal government, I do have that coming. Just right now, I'm having some difficulties with the grants committee.
Okay, if you need help, just let us know.
Definitely.
If there's anything we can do.
Thank you.
Sure.
Councilman Gibbons.
CR, does that include transportation? and all of that funding, they mentioned that they don't have, funding, or haven't gotten a drawdown, and the person to talk to would be the superintendent with their, all the transportation support departments.
Just so you're aware, the road maintenance program, we obligated $260,000 for the first 3 CRs. So I'd have to break it down between transportation, but the road maintenance portion of transportation got $260,737. So that money should be available tomorrow for them to start utilizing.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Thanks for bringing that up, John, on the road maintenance. But yeah, he was worried because he came to a meeting yesterday and he said he hasn't seen any drawdown since last year, I think. And so he was concerned, and because of the blizzard and all of this going on, we really rely on them. So I'm really hoping that this drawdown comes in, and you said it's going to be about, what, 26,000?
No, for road maintenance, it's 260,000.
260,000. And that should come in tomorrow?
We're hoping. I talked to Mason and Casey Peterson, and he sent me an actual email, and he requested all of the drawdowns, so it usually takes like a day or two to get them.
Okay, all right,
So it should be
that's
in your
good.
accounts by tomorrow.
Good to hear.
I'll stick.
Oh, sorry, real quick, Councilman Greenwell.
Being that we're speaking about the roads program, I'm sure information is getting down through your higher ups to DC about our flood and our natural disaster that happened here. And has there been any discussion about the future, about repairs to BIA roads and different things like that? Maybe some extra help coming down the road?
Typically, no. No, that only happens when the tribe submits a request for assistance. So if there's going to be any request to the Bureau for additional funds or equipment or anything, that needs to come from President Bear Runner. So if I get any type of request, then we'll submit it to Tom Kroymans, who's the regional road manager, and then they would look at providing the tribe additional funds to supplement what we've had to use during the storm.
Thank you, John. I did talk with our emergency manager, Steve, about making that contact. But I mean, I'll do the request if I have that to do. I do know that when I spoke with Governor Noem when she was in my office, she did tell me that she was going to talk with Senator Thune and come from the top down with BIA on getting any and all resources to get out and manage these BIA roads. Because she was going to bring state equipment in, but she said that's a BIA responsibility, so she was going to ensure working with Senator Thune to bring that down through the BIA.
I'd like to make a motion to have the president work with our emergency manager to start the process of requesting emergency funds from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and to reach out to our congressmen and senators and all the way up to the president's office if we have to get emergency funds here to repair all our BIA and tribal roads across the reservation. So,
got a motion and a second by Councilwoman Whitehorse. Councilman Gibbons.
Yeah, excellent motion, Mr. Greenwell, but we want to make sure that the assessments are done so that we don't leave anybody out or something doesn't come back and we're going to be, $2.5 million short in the 11th hour. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Real quick, Mr. Long, Councilwoman Medina.
In regards to, that request, I did channel the request, a letter sent to Acting Deputy Director Doherty in regards to the request of resources, materials, equipment, etc. Yeah, and but one thing I think we really need to add on there is engineers. We need engineers to come in and help us to design these properly. So I think that should be added to that motion, and I know that needs to happen.
I'm okay with adding that and excess equipment.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh?
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Uh-huh.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio,
Huh?
18 yes, unanimous, motion carried. Continue, Mr. Long.
I want to make you aware, I think I talked to a couple of you about it. Actually, I have a call tomorrow with the Senate Appropriations Committee. They asked to speak to me directly regarding the storm and the issues at Pine Ridge, so I planned on, related to BIA stuff, wasn't to tribal stuff, it was related to BIA damages that we sustained to our buildings regarding the storm. So it was my intention to also bring up the BIA roads. So I do plan on addressing the BIA roads because I've been part of a group text with our roads program directors. I'll give them accolades later, but they've been sending us group text on some of the roads they're repairing, especially today. And we've got multiple BIA roads, 17, 27, that are damaged, which we knew was going to happen because of the undercurrent of the water. So I do plan on discussing that with them tomorrow, and hopefully that rings true to where the tribe may get some additional funds of the Bureau to help fix these roads. So I just want to make sure aware, because there is 560 miles of BIA roads across the reservation, and it would be nice to get some funds, not only for the repair, but potentially for equipment. You know, during the storm, we learned the hard way that we didn't have the adequate equipment to do what we needed to do to get people out still. So hopefully that's something that after our call tomorrow will help us and help the tribe. The positions, if you look at the positions that are vacant, and just so you're aware, I have not received any word on a superintendent position yet. The natural resources position, facilities operations and maintenance specialist, should make a selection this week. Maintenance mechanic supervisor, supervisory social worker, and a contact rep. So those were all re-advertised, and only re-advertised if either we don't get an applicant or we only get one applicant. So it depends on the situation and the need for the position. We'll fill them if it's only one and they're comfortable, but typically if we don't get any applicants, then we'll ultimately re-advertise them, which is what we're doing now for those ones that are mentioned. To the dams, that's probably the largest discussion that we're going to have. So,
Mr. Long, before we move into the dams, let me go to Councilwoman Merdanian.
So, last council meeting in Martin, in Lake Creek District, a motion was made and passed that those buildings be released to the Oglala Sioux tribe and added to their property and supply inventory, that they be released from BIA. That was the motion. That's what passed. Where we at in that process is my first question. Second question is the high tunnel request that we did submit for that additional resources to start to get these high tunnels into the district. And then also, given the fire department and the number of structural fires that have existed on the reservation, and I know this is an ongoing issue, what I'm thinking is that, there's got to be a point in time where, that trust responsibility of the health and welfare of our people and not just the protection of our natural resources needs to be a part of that discussion. And so that fire department is very key. And we have to sit there and watch our families' homes burn down, other property that's adjacent to it burn down, and so really this fire department, I think there's going to be a point where I think the tribe should entertain the thought of taking over the fire department and start including a structural component to the fire department. So those three things are been on a priority list, but I want to hear the report on the dam.
Okay, first of all, the buildings, we did discuss it in Martin, and like I did explain to you, that there was no environmental done on the brown building at Loneman. Our property, our supply tech did request the environmental. You're looking 3 to 5 years, I'll be honest with you. That's not gonna happen. I know you guys want the building. There's a huge liability on the Bureau just to automatically turn a building over to the tribe, which I'm pretty sure they're not inclined to do, because if we have to do the environmental to the building and spend $200,000 cleaning it up, and then that means we have to remodel it back to the point where it can be utilized by the tribe. So it's probably more realistic that it's not going to be approved to be turned over to the tribe depending on the environmental. So if there's a full gut of the building regarding asbestos, lead-based paint, whatever the case may be, that may be the situation. I did explain to my supervisors after that council meeting what the tribe's intention was. So at this point, we're going to just start with the environmental first. I could almost guarantee, and I'm not going to say it ain't going to happen, but for those of you who know Central, who know the old jail, the courthouse, I mean, that's going to be a lot of money to try to refab those buildings. So I did explain the request to my supervisors, and ultimately our engineers would more than likely have to come down. I don't have their qualification to make that determination if it's best to rehab it or to do the environmental and rehab. So I'll follow up again tomorrow with them and let them know that you guys reiterated your request for the 3 buildings. And I'll let you folks know as quick as I can.
Okay, can I get that in writing?
I'm not going to put it in writing. I'm just going to follow up.
Well, can I get it from them in writing?
We'll get you something in writing. Second issue, the high tunnels, we did discuss that. I followed up, and the tribe has never submitted us a resolution. I did follow up with the tribe. There was no resolution made, so you might want to follow up within your office and see where it's at. As far as the fire department, it's very strict guidelines on what our trust responsibility is, and it's wildland fire only. So I'll be honest with you, my experience in 638 contracts will be the same for the tribe. Even if you chose to contract that function, you're going to still be held to that same standard. There won't be no structure responsibilities. Keep in mind, the majority of funding that the Bureau gets for our fire department, our wildland fire program, is a lot of money that's reimbursable by NIFC out of Boise, Idaho. So we don't have a direct, huge budget that we operate off of. A lot of our funding is reimbursable by NIFC. So if the tribe is to run the program, we'll help you. That's our intent. If the tribe chooses at some point you want to run the fire department, my responsibility is to work with you. But you got to keep in mind, a lot of the funds the tribe ultimately would have to come up with to run the day-to-day operations of the program. Because a lot of, like I said, a lot of those for prevention, for fuels, hazardous fuels, those are funds that we get from NIFC. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, halfway through the year, we're in the red quite a bit, waiting for NIFC to send us our money, even on the Bureau side. So I couldn't even imagine, you might want to reach out to some of the other tribes that have that function and see how they're utilizing it. I want to say Newtown, North Dakota, I think, is running a contracted program. So you might want to reach out and see, but ultimately, I mean, if that's the tribe's request, we would work with the tribe if that's something you folks wanted to do. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Long.
Yes,
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
I really hope that we could have kept that Pine Ridge Girls dorm. I think so many people kind of fought for that too, but the Bureau had to take it down because we got a new girls dorm. And that's just the way the Bureau works. I think that was kind of we wanted to put it as a historical building because I think a lot of us attended the boarding school and we were part of that girls dorm. So, I know what the Bureau does. Once they give you something new, they take down what was there that was old. I think that my questions today are on the positions, especially your safety of dams program. Today we're dealing with the flooding, and we know the Bureau has the safety of dams. And I really want to stress, I guess, John, is we really need to work, together on addressing the dams, because I think that we're getting a lot of calls, and I think they feel that those culverts are probably, a lot of debris in there, so water isn't going through. So I think we need to, as part of safety of dams, if we work with our our Natural Resources Office. I think a lot of them handle the creeks and the dams too, so I really hope we could work together on addressing that because of the flooding. I was just kind of looking back at Calico. You know, I grew up there, and you know, some of us cousins talked, and we said, you know, as long as we lived here, we never did ever see flooding like that, ever in that creek. And now you see it, and it's clear over to the baseball field. And so I just want to say that it's time now that we start looking at that safety of dams and working together with yourself, the Bureau, and addressing the cleaning of those creeks, dams. Thank you.
So regarding that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Sonia, we had side meetings since the storm started. And in talking with a lot of the roads folks, I told them I would do it on their behalf. The culvert cleaning is a responsibility of road maintenance. And the concerns that I'd heard from some of the staff is that they did have a schedule in place to go clean culverts, because that is a lot of an issue. One of the discussions that we had over the course of the last week was the buildup of water alongside our roadways. If you look at the approaches that were in place, a lot of them didn't have culverts. And that falls on the land committee's responsibility, because I talked to a couple of them about it, is that I think it has to be automatically taken into account when the land committee approves a home site lease, that once an approach is approved or a right-of-way is approved, that it automatically has to have a culvert in it. Because a lot of the dams that we've seen along the roadways that led to homes didn't have culverts in them. So that's where a lot of our road buildup was happening. But I think we can address that, and it'll become automatically part of the home site approval by the land committee. Yeah, so road maintenance, and I've talked to them about it. We've done a lot of work over the last week, and I've got to know a lot of the guys from road maintenance who I actually didn't really know. I knew them from afar, but and they worked really hard. But I think the priority needs to be, and we did talk about it being in the spring, that once we get past this stage of the flooding and that their focus is going to be on the culverts, because that is a huge issue. We walked, you know, a few of them and see where there was tree branches and trash, different things blocking these culverts, then adding the ice, the broken up ice, when the ice makes its way to those culverts, and then that's where we're getting the overflow back onto the highways. So, but I agree. Safety of dams position, just so you guys know, it's been a collateral position for the Bureau, which I've never been a fan of since I've been on this side. I finally got approval last week to advertise the two positions. We advertised them last year, but they included the requirement of an engineer, which I thought was silly, to be honest with you, because the positions that they do, the duties that they do, we just didn't get nobody qualified. When we closed a position after having it open for 30 days, we had nobody qualified because it required an engineering degree. So I tried to explain to our HR folks that we utilized the Aberdeen area and Denver engineers. What I needed here was guys to maintain the alarms, guys to clean the dams, do the fence repair. So we finally got the PD approved, and I sent the packet in on Friday, I believe, and we should be getting these two positions advertised this week. And they'll be solely safety of dams positions. Because right now what's happening is it's either between our fire program and our facilities program, they were doing collateral duties to maintain these dams, and I can assure you from this last week, Mr. Wilson over there would probably agree, is our guys have been out basically almost 24 hours, because every time an alarm goes off at Ellen Dam or Kyle Dam, our guys are having to get up and drive all the way out there because of the meters that are showing 7 feet above normal. You know, so we're having to go out and verify that the dam reservoir is matching what's on our emergency warning system site, but a lot of it's been just the downflow stuff. So I'll get to that when we start talking about the dam stuff.
Thank you. Councilman Greenwald. Was he finished with the dams?
I haven't even started the dams.
Okay. Councilman Little White Man.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, is there any kind of like the dam safety funding to upgrade these dams? You know, pretty much all of them?
I'll just go into our dam report. That way I can kind of combine everything into one thing. So the funding for our safety of dams projects, for those of you that are on council or have been last year, we had two issues, White Clay Dam and Ogallala Dam. We had voids in the spillways. Bureau of Reclamation was concerned that there was potential to lose either spillway based on the voids that were found in those spillways. So the funding mechanism that we're going to utilize to upgrade the dams is actually funded by Bureau of Reclamation. So we're still under Department of Interior. They're a sister agency to the Bureau, But Bureau of Reclamation will fund, hopefully, these dam renovation projects. That's who will fund them. So to give you a quick, and I know I've talked to a few of you, I've called Councilwoman Janice on the dams. I think I spoke to Councilwoman Medanian. What happened was when these storms started coming, we got the runoff. The water started in White Clay Dam. And on Saturday of this past week, the water level on the spillway was 22 inches. And that is way high. Typically, we want to have, from what I'm told, 1 or 2 inches flowing over the spillway. 3, is good. What happened is the water flowed from White Clay through the creeks. As you see in Pine Ridge, the bridge by the school was flooded. It's making its way out towards Ogallala. Well, take into account that, as well as the runoff that we're getting throughout the reservation everywhere, not just on the west side. But what happened was, last year when I explained to tribal council that we lowered the level of Ogallala Dam because we were trying to keep the spillway dry due to the voids. So we had it pretty dry, and we actually thought we were kind of ahead of the game. And then we go out to Ogallala Dam on Saturday or Sunday, and the water made its way up to the spillway. So we opened Ogallala Dam at 100% based on the recommendation of our engineers from BOR and BIA, and tried to release as much water out of there as they can because they didn't want water flowing over the spillway. All right. What ended up happening yesterday is we ended up finding another sinkhole next to the 2 that we knew were there. Those ones were there for over a year. BOR knew about them when they came out and did the voids, the coring, I should say. So what ended up happening, I really appreciate the tribe's road maintenance program and the transportation guys because they were totally on board with helping us. They provided the equipment that obviously the Bureau didn't have. We bought the gravel, and they fixed the sinkhole yesterday. There's no issues with it. Our engineers have been out there 24/7 now that they got here. We called them yesterday when we texted the photo of the sinkhole, and 2 of them got on the road from Denver and 1 came from Aberdeen. And so they've been here 24/7. They've actually pulled 2 shifts. We have a day shift and a night shift of engineers that are monitoring Ogallala Dam. No issues all day. The phone's been very quiet. Otherwise, I've been getting notified. White Clay is actually, their flow is actually down to 4 inches. So we're kind of normalizing the flow coming out of White Clay, and we actually shut that outlet today. So the water that's now going into Ogallala Dam is the normal flow from the spillway and the runoff that you're seeing from our creeks. So we're hoping by doing that, according to the engineers, that we'll be able to lower Ogallala back to where we had it prior to the snowstorm and to the flooding. So we're doing everything we can. What I've done is I'll speak with Steve from Emergency Management, and I'll provide him an update on the status of the dams. I know there was a ton of rumors going out there. I know people were saying the dam was collapsing. I want to assure everybody out there the dam is absolutely not collapsing. If there's a situation to where we felt it was, I would contact President Berrunner, and I would contact as many council reps as I could to let them know, specifically the Ogallala reps, because that's their district and they have a better feel on the folks out there. There is absolutely no threat that we believe at this time to Ogallala, although we still are on response level 2, and that all that called for was notifying the public, letting them know that that dam's high. If we were to go to response level 3 based on our emergency action plan, that would be hey, you need to get out, we need to evacuate people. If you folks have listened to the news today, you saw up north of Wall there, Quinn Dam was failing. They basically went to a response level 3 and said the dam's failing, everybody needs to get out. So we would get to that point, but we're not there. I just want to reassure everybody out there on the radio that we're working everything we can, and all of my communication has been with Mr. Wilson and Emergency Management. Again, I mean, I can't speak enough for Steve and his staff, and if there's anything I can do, they are overworked. There's guys who are working 24/7. They don't have the equipment necessary. One of the things that we talked about, and I think I talked about it to a couple of council reps, is that when this is all over, we need to kind of have a debrief. We need to figure out kind of what we did, what we didn't do. One of the things that I didn't see, and folks, if I'm wrong, by all means correct me, I think we need more involvement by our emergency medical folks. We need more involvement by public safety. Because what I saw talking to the road transportation guys, road maintenance guys, was that they were trying to clear roads. They would get called back and have to go 30 miles this way in a blade or a front end loader to try to get out a medical call. So I think we can plan a little better. We can involve public safety and emergency EMS or the ambulance service, and maybe get some resources for those 2 functions so they can take care of the medical calls or whatever, and allow our road maintenance folks to continue trying to clear these roads. And that was half of the, maybe some of you folks didn't hear about that, but that was half of the battle was them trying to continue their work, but getting called away to have to clear a path to a house. You know, we even heard stories, and I don't know how true they are, we heard stories of bogus calls. People wanted their driveway claimed because they were having a heart attack or whatever. We find out they just wanted out. You know, so, I mean, you can't say somebody's lying right off the bat. You have to take it at face value and try to get out there to help them. And then we find out when they get out there, nobody's home. You know, so the dams are fun. We're working. I mean, there is a concern on Ogallala. After today, though, I think we're going in the direction to lower it. But I will definitely keep everybody abreast of what's going on and keep you guys informed if anything changes at Ogallala Dam. We didn't issue the emergency action plan level for White Clay, but it was only applying to Ogallala Dam. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Greenwald.
Okay, thanks for the report on that. I know that previously we had issues with both Ogallala and White Clay Dam spillways. Is the BOR going to be coming in and reassessing them spillways to see what kind of damage the excess water may have caused, or if I'd like to see them prioritize that to come back and get the ball rolling to see where those damages may have gotten larger or grown or whatever, and what is their plan to keep on them on that plan to rehabilitate both them spillways as soon as we can, especially this summer if we can.
Yeah, they actually routed White Clay today. The engineers, 2 engineers from Denver and 1 from Aberdeen. I did actually just get the final reports on both dams yesterday on my email, so I haven't even had a chance to print them up and look at them. But like I told you folks before, it was either there was going to be minimal repairs to the drain pipes on the spillways, because that was where the large part of our issues were besides the voids, or the option 2 was going to be total rehab of the spillways. So I'll get those reports printed up and I'll take a look at them, but I'll also talk to our engineers in Ogallala and kind of get a sense of where they're looking or which way they're going to go. But like I said, the funding will come from BOR if it does get to the point where they're going to rehab the dam spillways. So I'll definitely reach out to them guys tomorrow when I see them in person and kind of get a sense of what they think they need to do. Now that, because our whole goal was to keep those spillways dry, the floodwaters obviously affected that. And now I think our plan has shifted, or at least expedited the potential repair. At least that would be my position anyway. So.
Is that for all dams or just the 2?
It'll only apply to White Clay and Ogallala. They haven't done Kyle and Ellen yet, which is on their radar though. They are going to do those 2. Just so the folks out east know, I want to let you know that we have got multiple alarms on Kyle Dam and on Ellen Dam, and our guys have responded. One of the things we have is this site with the monitors. The information that we're being given on those 2 dams over the course of the last 3 or 4 days was that the dam levels, reservoir levels were fine, which means the water's flowing over the spillway. The issues we were having were upstream, or downstream, I'm sorry. Downstream, and that's where a lot of the runoff was coming. So we still have to go out there, we still have to respond. The only thing bad about it is our responses were in the middle of the night, so the photos didn't turn out very good, but we are looking at taking a look at both of those dams as well. There's only 4 high hazard dams on Pine Ridge, and I know I get questions on Denby. It's not a high hazard dam. Calico, there's one out there. That's not a high hazard dam. There's only 4 on Pine Ridge. It used to be 5, with the exception of East Dam, for those you know it might be referred to as Wolf Creek Dam, but right now it's just Kyle, Ellen, Ogallala, and White Clay Dam.
Thank you. Councilwoman Merdanian.
So you spoke about the different levels, level 2, level 3. Level 2 warning, level 3 is evacuation. How many more levels? Is that?
That's it.
The top is 3 for evacuation. So what is that process, John, in communicating, you going to Steve then what communicates to us? How does that process work? So, you know, and where is that process at? So I can take a look at it and share it with my community, because, you know, when they see a lot of equipment out there and they don't know what's going on, it tends to increase that anxiety level when they're already stressed out from the storm. And when there's no communication happening with our people, then it just creates more stress and more tension. So if we're able to communicate with them and tell them what's going on, it kind of alleviates some of that stress.
What we set up initially when this started, just to avoid me taking 500 calls, as I explained to Steve, that I would provide them the information as it pertains to the dam, and I encourage folks to follow the OST Emergency Management Facebook page. Ultimately, for me to do a press release, for those of you who are in the government, I've got to get permission from DC. So in order for us to bypass that, I just talked with Steve, had meetings, and then allowed him to release that information so it would get to the community quicker. So like I said, level 2. Level 3 is basically, like I said, just an immediate evacuation of the downstream from the dams, and that's going to be it. One of the things that we talked about earlier is ensuring that these low-lying areas aren't occupied. So we've already done run-throughs of Oglala all the way out north and tried to identify potential residences that were subject or potentially in the line of water, and kind of identify what we're going to do as far as notification purposes. I'd like to talk to the chief of police and see if we can get a commitment from them to assist us in notification of community members. As far as if we ever had that situation, God forbid we don't, but ultimately law enforcement, and I know Steve's guys are running ragged, different directions, so I'd like to sit down with the chief and see if we can get a commitment from them as far as notification if we ever got to that point, which we're not. So, but basically, what it says is dam failure is imminent, and it's subject to fail, and it's occurring, fail, or it has occurred. So level 3 is basically saying it's going to fail, it has failed, or that's kind of it. There isn't anything beyond level 3 other than letting the community know that it's failed. So if you, like I said, if you look at the Quinn notification today on social media, they basically told the public on social media that Quinn Dam was failing by wall. So it basically said you need to get out. So that's kind of essentially along the same lines. What our response level 3 is telling the public it's going to fail, or it's failing now, or has failed. So.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Long? Got a motion to approve. Second by Councilman Tulan. That's a motion by Councilman Wilson, second by Councilman Tulan. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Good job. Are you there?
Secretary is calling for your vote, Mr. Yellowhawk.
Yes. I said yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse, Valentina Mardanian, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nakina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio,
Yes.
$16 yes, 2 not voting, motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Long. We don't have the office of the special trustee here. Oglala Sulakota Nursing Home. Okay, motion to approve. Second by Councilwoman Tapio. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons, Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse, Valentina Mardanian, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nakina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio,
Yes.
15 yes, 3 not voting, motion carried. Oglala Sioux Tribe Human Resources Department.
For the record, my name is Michelle Porter. I'm the Human Resource Director for the Oglala Sioux Tribe. As required by ordinance, I did submit my report for the month of February 2019 to the Tribal Secretary, and those are my stats.
Any questions, comments? So is that a motion to approve by Councilman Wilson, second by Councilman Laysbad? Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk? Garfield Apple?
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons? Lydia Bearkiller?
Yes.
James Cross? Sonia Little Hawk Weston? Jackie Sears? Vincent Tulance?
Yes.
Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse?
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian? Bo Little White Man?
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson? Philip Goodcrow?
Oh.
Randy Laysbed?
Yes.
Richard Greenwald?
Yes.
Nikina Mills?
Yes.
Robin Tapio?
Yes.
16 yes, 2 not voting, motion carried. I do have one question for you, Ms. Porter. The executive secretary for the Gaming Commission, has that been advertised?
Yes, that was advertised. That packet was given to the gaming commissioners. They are to set up the interviews and make their selections and then send the paperwork back to us.
Okay, so they handle the interviews and the dates and all of that?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, did you have a question for her?
Yeah, no, not for Michelle, but I do, as I'm reviewing my paperwork here, I noticed that our regular agenda items from E and BD are not on this thing, and we passed things in our last 2 meetings prior to that wouldn't be 2/3 items, so whatever's going on with the secretary needs to be addressed because there were time-sensitive stuff in those. Second thing is I want to address is that we now have a chief of staff on board with us, and I'm sorry, but you're not on this agenda, and our chief of staff has pressing issues that she needs to be addressed, and that, I think our chief of staff needs to be a permanent part of this every month agenda to address issues that she may have that needs council action too as well. So like these individuals and departments are doing reports, the chief of staff needs a section on our regular monthly report. So I don't know if that's going to take a motion to add her. Motion to add her as a regular part of our agenda.
Okay.
The chief of staff.
Councilwoman Whitehorse.
It shouldn't take a motion because when her position was set up, it was already in the ordinance that she be placed on the agenda monthly, just like HR. So it should already automatically be on here.
Okay. Ms. Fuller, you're excused. Motion was approved. Your report was approved. Do you want to emphasize on?
For your question on the ENBD secretary, I've been requesting since I've been put in for that position to be filled. I did get clarification at the last council meeting that the process that was needing to be done, which has been sent to the committee, which they approved for the amendment for the ENBD secretary, because we couldn't get those qualifications met. So we had to amend the qualifications and get it approved through committee. So it is approved now, so we will get it advertised.
So I'm okay with that, but when we have minutes that have actions prior to council, if you're shorthanded in that area or she's filling in or something, somebody needs to fill in and make sure those actions are done and brought and put on our regular agenda, so that we're not leaving them out. And the reason why I say that is today we took action to move forward for a new tribal complex, but that there was action taken there that would have addressed the buildings that are sitting in the area where the new complex would go. So that could have also been taken care of today, which also required John Long and the BIA to start moving forward because they've already received some funding to remove some of the old buildings that are sitting in that area. So as we start moving forward, we're entering a building season. So if we miss that building season, now you're talking about the next year to start building the project. And that project could probably take up to a year or so to build a new building. So everything is kind of time sensitive. As it starts getting warmer, we need to make sure we're on top of these things. So.
Thank you, Councilman Greenwald. Land and Natural Resources Committee, no agenda items. Councilman Apple. Right, yeah. Okay.
So we're through Law and Order Committee, and I know Dwayne is on the phone, but as the Vice Chair for Law and Order Committee, I'll go ahead and read the ordinance under Law and Order Committee. It's the ordinance of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and unincorporated tribe. Ordinance of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe to amend Ordinance 95-07, Elderly Abuse Code, and to amend Law and Order Code, Chapter 3, Section 54, Guardianships. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 23 U.S.C. 5123, and under Article 3 of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is a governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council passed the Elderly Abuse Code, Ordinance number 95-07, and whereas Ordinance number 95-07 has been ineffective and unclear in its definition and terms, and whereas concern has grown about elder and dependent adult abuse on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, a feel has developed for a need for stronger enforcement and penalties for abusers due to the effects of abuse on the victim and the family. Now therefore be it ordained that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby amends Ordinance number 95-07, Elderly Abuse Code of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Code, and replaces it with the following revised Elderly Abuse Code, a copy of which is attached to this ordinance and incorporated reference herein. And be it further ordained that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council orders that the amended revised Elderly Abuse Code be effective March 26, 2019. And be it further ordained that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council requires training schedules to be offered within 30 days of the date of hire of the first employee of the Elder Protection Office, so created, concerning the Elderly Abuse Code by the Attorney General's Office and the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council, requires that Oglala Sioux Tribal Court judges, prosecutors, IHS Mental Health, OST Chief of Police, OST Police Lieutenants, and police officers attend said training schedules during the next 30-day period, so that proper implementation of Ordinance number 19 whatever number that will be, revised Elderly Abuse Code can be effected. And be it further ordained that all elderly who are victims of physical abuse shall be examined and treated by an IHS doctor as soon as possible. After physical abuse is reported or discovered, and be it further ordained that any and all current ordinances that are in conflict with this amended ordinance are hereby rescinded. And with that, motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, second by Councilman Goodcrow. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Jackie Sears,
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
Randy Laisbed,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nakina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Yes.
Yes. Unanimous, motion carried. Oh,
That's all we
sorry.
have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sears.
Yeah, I just want to recommend or see if they can clean up the, the typos and things like that before, we don't want to make the mistake of putting things with strike-throughs in there, like the personnel manual. So, thank you.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll make sure the Attorney General and whoever worked on it can clean it up.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sears and Little Hawk Weston. EB&D. Did they have regular? Okay. Health and Human Services Committee.
Do you want me to read it?
Secretary read the 3 day?
Right.
Have the secretary read it.
Okay. Have it back.
Ordinance of the Oglala Sioux Tribe of the Ordinance of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving an amendment to the OST Ordinance number 17-18, section 25-14, administrative leave for adverse weather or road conditions for the OST Rapid City programs, Native Healing, Native Women's Health, and the CHR program to reflect the Rapid City School District's administrative leave policy for closure. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935, in accordance with section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123. And under Article 3, the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe's Constitution enumerated powers, Section 1W authorizes the tribe to adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. Whereas the Health and Human Services Committee is a standing committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council that oversees the Native Health Healing Program, Native Women's Health, and the CHR programs pursuant to Self-Determination Act contracts PL 93-638 that provide services to the tribal members. And whereas the Health and Human Services Committee recommends that the amendment of the OST Ordinance number 17-18, Section 25-14 Administrative Leave Policy to include a section for administrative leave for adverse weather and road conditions for the 3 PL 93-638 programs in Rapid City. And whereas the OST Rapid City programs requested that the amendment reflected the Rapid City School District's policy for school closure, such determination is made by superintendent after consulting with transportation and reports the school closure to the media by 6 a.m. And whereas the HHS committee recognizes that winter weather and road conditions can vary between Pine Ridge and Rapid City and vice versa, and that an administrative leave policy should be adopted to reflect the difference in weather. Now therefore be it ordained that the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe hereby approves an amendment to the OST Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual, OST Ordinance 17-18, Section 25-14, to include the following. Administrative leave policy for adverse weather and/or road conditions for the OST Rapid City programs. When the Rapid City School District determines that schools should be closed due to adverse weather and/or road conditions, the Native Healing, Native Women's Health, and the CHR program shall follow the same safety measures for closure. Administrative leave shall be allowed for employees of those programs. The director of the Native Healing program shall notify staff as soon as possible of school closings due to adverse weather and/or road conditions. The director shall also notify his supervisor in Pine Ridge of the closure of the offices. Be it further ordained that the president, or in his absence, the vice president, is authorized to sign necessary documents to effectuate this document. Certification.
Motion.
We got a motion, Councilwoman Whitehorse?
I think that's the wrong ordinance number. I think it's supposed to be 1822, not 1718. Yeah, because we just updated it last year. And I'll second his motion.
Okay, I got a motion and a second with the corrections. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh.
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Uh-huh.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson, Philip Goodcrow, Randy Laysbed,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nakina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Seventeen yes, one not voting, motion carried.
All right, Chair, I'll read the next one.
Okay.
And the heading of this might need correction or not, I don't know. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux approving disenrollment for Paul Edward Saucer. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe's Constitution, enumerated powers, Section 1J, authorizes the tribe to enact resolutions or ordinances not inconsistent with Article 2 of the Constitution concerning membership in the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the OST member Paul Edward Saucer, date of birth 01/21/1954, has requested disenrollment from the Oglala Sioux Tribe to enroll with the Rosebud Sioux Tribe. And the Health and Human Services Committee met on March 5th, 2019, and recommended granting his request. Now therefore it be resolved, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe hereby grants disenrollment of Edward Paul Saucer from the Oglala Sioux Tribe's rolls and census as of this date. And I'm not motioning. I'm not motioning. That's your motion?
You want to make the motion? He just read it. He's not motioning. So I got a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Apple. And that's a motion by Councilman Gibbons. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk, Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh.
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
No.
Valentina Merdanian, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
No.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
No.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
14 yes, 4 no, motion carried.
Thank you, Chair. Item C, resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux approving disenrollment for James Wayne Left Hand. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe's Constitution, enumerated powers, Section 1J, authorizes the tribe to enact resolutions or ordinances not inconsistent with Article 2 of the Constitution concerning membership of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas whereas OST member James Wayne Left Hand, date of birth 6/20/1985, has requested disenrollment from the Oglala Sioux Tribe to enroll with the certified Salish Kootenai Tribe, and the Health and Human Services Committee met on March 5th, 2019, and recommended granting his request. Now therefore be resolved that the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe hereby grants disenrollment of James Wayne Left Hand from the Oglala Sioux Tribe's rolls and census as of this date.
Okay, can I get a motion for that?
Motion.
Got a motion by Councilman Laisbad, second by Councilman Apple. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
No.
Valentina Merdanian, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
No.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
No.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Yes.
14 yes, 4 no, motion carried.
Thank you, Chair. Item D, resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux approving disenrollment for Michael Jerome Left Hand. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and on Article 3 of the Constitution, the Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe's Constitution, enumerated powers, Section 1J, authorizes the tribe to enact resolutions or ordinances not inconsistent with Article 2 of the Constitution concerning membership in the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas OST member Michael Jerome Left Hand, date of birth 6/20/1985, has requested disenrollment from the Oglala Sioux Tribe to enroll with the Confederate Salish and Kootenai Tribe. And the Health and Human Services Committee met on March 5th, 2019, and recommended granting his request. Now therefore resolved that the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe hereby grants disenrollment of Michael Jerome Left Hand from the Oglala Sioux Tribe's rolls and census as of this date.
Can I get a motion? Motion by Councilman Goodcrow.
Second.
Second by Councilman Laisbad. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk, Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller, James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon, Cora Whitehorse,
No.
Valentina Merdanian, Bo Little White Man,
No.
Chancey Wilson,
No.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
No.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Yes.
Thirteen yes, 5 no, motion carried.
Thank you, Chair. This will be our final regular agenda item for HHS. Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving Miss Nikina Mills as a voting member of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Health and Human Services Committee. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas Miss Nikina Mills was elected as the district representative of the Pine Ridge District in the 2018 Oglala Sioux Tribal elections, and whereas the Pine Ridge District Council representative Miss Nikina Mills has expressed her desire to the Oglala Sioux Tribal Health and Human Services Committee that she wishes to be approved as a member of the OST Health and Human Services Committee. And C, whereas the OST Health and Human Services Committee did meet on the 5th day of March 2019 with a quorum present and did approve this resolution for presentation to the Oglala Sioux Tribe for their approval. And whereas the membership of the council representatives on the committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribe is approved by the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council, now therefore be resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council does approve, based upon recommendation of the OST Health and Human Services Committee, the appointment of Miss Nikina Mills, Pine Ridge District Councilperson, as a voting member of the OST Health and Human Services Committee. I so move.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Councilwoman Mills.
I would just like to respectfully ask that people vote no regarding this after careful consideration and seeing how committees have played out this last month, and then being on education and no quorum there and no quorum on some other committees. I am going to stick to the ordinance 00-28 on limited, sticking to the 2 committee request on that ordinance. So I respectfully ask for your vote for no.
Chair.
Councilman Greenwald.
I'll remove my motion to approve.
Motion withdrawn. So can I get a motion?
Wait,
Councilman Dillon.
she asked me to nominate her to be on that committee, and I don't understand this.
Motion.
Okay, I got a motion.
Request? To grant her request? Okay.
We got a motion to deny, second by Councilwoman Tapio. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
No.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh?
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
No.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
I'm sorry, can I get clarification on that last motion? Because I wasn't cleared. So, Mr. Dillon, your motion is to deny her request?
Yeah, she didn't want to be there, so we changed it from accepting it to denying it.
So I vote yes.
Bo Little White Man,
No.
Chauncey Wilson, Philip Goodcrow.
Yeah.
Clarify, please. No.
No.
Randy Laisbad,
No.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nikina Mills,
Abstain.
Robin Tapio,
Yes. I don't.
Okay, I got, 10 yes, 7 no, 1 abstaining. Motion carried. Okay, that's it for the HHS committee. Okay, okay, so that's it for the regular items for the HHS committee. And we'll go ahead and take a, Councilwoman Radini.
Chair, I was just wondering, how long are we going? Because, you know, a lot of us have, we're all, you know, been running and busy and so forth, so I'm just wondering, how long are we going?
Carry on into tomorrow?
Let's just go as far as we can. I mean, if we just limit our discussion, and I think we can make it pretty far. So we will go ahead and have a working supper. The community did provide supper again. So we'll take a 5-minute break to Councilwoman Radini.
I'd like to make a motion to schedule the reports for the president, secretary, and so forth for the next council meeting.
I got a motion and a second. I mean, I do have some very pressing things under my office. So, but I do got a motion and a second to move all the reports till later. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Dwayne Yellowhawk? No. Garfield Apple? Glenn Gibbons?
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller?
No.
James Cross? Sonia Little Hawk Weston?
Here.
Jackie Sears?
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance?
Yes.
Craig Dillon? Cora Whitehorse?
No.
Valentina Merdanian?
Uh-huh.
Bo Little White Man?
No.
Chauncey Wilson?
No.
Philip Goodcrow?
No.
Randy Laisbad?
No.
Richard Greenwald?
No.
Nikina Mills?
No.
Robin Tapio?
No.
Five yes, 12 no, 1 not voting. Motion fell. So we'll take a 5-minute break to grab something to eat.